What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Hopefully, you guys are all doing good. I've been doing a lot of soul searching lately, and I got some messages and stuff like that after my video yesterday. And again, it's just one of those things where it is kind of what it is. I'm not really asking anybody for anything. The only thing I'm kind of pointing out is that, things could always change, and things maybe would be different had I decided to go with my head instead of my heart when it comes to Xbox. The proof is kind of in the pudding. I was a very much hardcore Xbox guy right from the start. I'll be damned if I'll let those Sony fans tell me what I should buy and what I shouldn't buy, which is pretty much the way that I looked at the launch of the Xbox One versus getting a PS4. I could only afford one at the time. And now, obviously, thankfully, I already have the consoles, but I might have to pawn them soon. Things are kind of looking downward at the moment. Gonna keep doing videos for as long as I can until they repossess my computer. But for me, I always just like doing the content and speaking from my heart. I don't try to set out to be controversial or say stuff that makes the news or pisses people off, or really, honestly, I don't. Now, to me, it is kind of funny when people hate on me for my opinion, and that can drive me. But in terms of actually intentionally trying to do that, or intentionally trying to say something, it just never works out. When you intend, it's very fake when you actually do that, when you actually try to go out of your way to be angry or whatever. And a lot of people always kind of got me wrong, especially now that there's more Xbox fans than there have been in a very long time. A lot of people that weren't even around back in the day when I was doing pro Xbox content, which was for years, right? It was for years. Like, I didn't really stop until like 2019 or so. And a lot of people refused to believe that I stopped doing it because of the lack of games and the broken promises, and just assume that it's based over a Phil Spencer tweet from 2016, which, where did all this other content, literally over 1,000 videos, come from that were pro Xbox from 2016 till 2019, right? So I never understood that. And people go, oh, well, you switch to get views. So you build up 60,000 subscribers of pro Xbox fans. I literally came off my best year ever, 2019. Like, my best YouTube year ever. Best ever. And, honestly, so then I do that. I come off the best year ever doing pro Xbox content. Everything's going good. And I switch, quote unquote, switch and flip flop to PlayStation in order to get more views and more subscribers. And for some reason, that makes sense to Xbox fans. Like, I wasn't having any problems in that area. I would never had a channel that was getting, 50,000, 100,000 views a video. My videos always went somewhere in between 4 and 8,000, something like that. And occasionally I'd get something that would bump and do, 15,000 or whatever. But for the most part, I just did a lot of content that was, viewed between that 4 and 8,000 mark. And honestly, I never had any aspirations to be like a super editor. Like, I work full time, I'm married now, I have kids. It's just one of those things where I don't really have time to go out there and become like a super editor who doesn't really like, YouTube isn't my job, so I do it for fun and I do it as my hobby. And it's unfortunate because I come to like when I started, I was doing Xbox Nation podcast on Wednesdays. It's very popular. It might not be as popular as some of the Xbox podcasts now, but it's not out of the realm. It was never out of the realm of possibilities to bring in 1,500 live during a show on a Wednesday night, and for it to get 20, 30, 40,000 views, depending on if it was a hot week or something. So on average it was probably 12 to 20,000, whatever, but that's still a very popular Xbox podcast. I stopped doing it, and the reason why I stopped doing it was because I wasn't really having fun on Xbox at that time. Now I'm playing Xbox again, probably 30-35% of my time, and I enjoy it for what it is, but I still have that little bit of bitterness because Microsoft obviously lied about the VR thing. Microsoft obviously lied about having games ready to go, and here we are. If we go back to 2017 and we count the AAA exclusives for Xbox, it goes as followed: Forza Motorsport 7 in 2017, Forza Motorsport or Forza Horizon 4 in 2018, Gears of War 5 in 2019. Skip ahead 2 years, we get a Forza Horizon 5 and another Halo. So it's Forza, Halo, and Gears over the past 5 years as the only AAA exclusives. And, you know, that leads into more of the problem. I like those franchises, but in particular, for Gears and Halo have been kind of on a downward turn. Now, this new Halo could be great. I don't know yet. But, you know, it's just one of those things where people go, and I get this message a lot. If you had just stayed Xbox, you'd be bigger than Dealer and Colt and those guys. Which, first of all, I doubt it. Like, I'll give credit to where it's due. Like, those guys really got kind of a hook in, and I'm sure that a lot of my audience did gravitate there. But, you know, I was never a, you know, highly polished type of person to begin with. You know, my real wheelhouse is doing podcasts. And, you know, obviously I think I'm a much better podcaster than those guys for sure. And for all the crap that people give me for my titles, the funny thing is if you ever, and I come across them because they get recommended to me for some reason, they're just as clickbaity, if not more in some instances, than mine have been. I think the problem is just that I do so much and I've done so many videos that it seems like I'm doing it more. But literally, I see the same stuff, you know, across the board. Well, is it even possible? Tech, this, that, like surprise announcement, the surprising this, you know what I mean? It's like it's all over the place. You know, my shtick in 2014, I feel like is pretty unmatched, and a lot of people look to that as like where I was kind of mocking the audience and making fun of the audience, and you know, that kind of stuff, and that can only kind of, I think, get you so far with it, you know. But I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender. Right, I could have been huge if I just had decided that it'd be okay with no games and want to lie to the audience. Like, I don't know. Nobody's really ever told me why they're okay. Like, I don't understand how so many fans are okay with no games, right? Or losing all your exclusives, or Xbox turning into an app. These are all things that bothered me even from an early stage, which I think I proved because the other day I did a video and I showed that, you know, in 2015 even I was worried about that. And people basically, when they say that to me, like, you could have been bigger than this guy or this guy. And it's like, I think, and I'm like, I would have really had to lie to people and pretend that I was enjoying Xbox to do that, right? Like, I don't know. Like, for me, that doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. Like, I would have a very hard time kind of living with myself, because I know people think that, oh man, he puts up with this and this and this. It's like, but the main thing is you really don't know me, man. Like, so many people don't. Like, I've had like serious conversations with very few people outside of this. Like, I can sit there and be chill with somebody and they're like surprised by that, like, man, you're really a good guy. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I'm not the person that most people think I am, that just base their opinion on me based on some opinions on gaming. Like, that's probably the dumbest thing you could do. That's like judging somebody for what political party they support, right? Like, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, right? Or you know, that's just, honestly, like, how can you judge somebody on that? You know what I mean? Like, that's really dumb. I don't know, but should I have lied to everybody and just been like, you just wait for E3, wait for, you know, could I have been like Tim Dog, you know, and just hype stuff up for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think I could have lived with myself, you know? Like, I realized that I'm a shitty YouTuber, and that I'm a failed YouTuber, and that YouTube is the most important thing. Hell, being married and having kids, and, you know, having a life where I save innocent animals on a daily basis, and having a family that loves me and friends, and, you know, my health. All that stuff is vastly unimportant compared to YouTube. You know, I mean, if I can't make it on YouTube, what am I gonna do? You guys got to help me out, man. I'm pushing a cart with cans in it to make payments on my PC. You know, you think a 580 Ti or whatever it is comes cheap? These things are expensive. You want amazing videos from me, man. I got bootleg internet. Look at the things I'm working with, you know. It's honestly, like, the funny part is, early on in my YouTube career, I'm working with a dual core You know, believe it or not, it used to take 3 hours to do one video that was like 3 or 4 minutes, and then a further 2 hours to upload it. That's dedication on my part. People forget about that. Honestly, people don't understand it, right? Like, I don't have, you know, I'm not doing any podcasts. I'm not getting the super chats or, you know, any kind of stuff like that. People aren't paying my PC for my stuff. I had to buy my own Xbox. You know, Microsoft wasn't giving that shit to me. So, you know, everything I'm doing, I'm struggling for, and yet people are so kind of narrow-minded about this whole thing, and just think that, you know, well, he does this to himself. He does, like, listen, there's not a YouTuber out there. I don't care who it is. There's not one single YouTuber who's been right 100% of the time. And in fact, there's many YouTubers that have been wrong a lot of the time and never admit that they're wrong. You know, I would say my track record is pretty good with this stuff. You know, people still doubt what I say, but it's okay. You know, I realize this. I should have just lied to everybody. You all just wanted to hear Xbox is the best box. Rack 'em up. Phil Spencer's my idol. I simp for Phil. You know, I should put that on a shirt or something. I'm sure it'd sell out. I could make some money that way. But until that point, you know, I could have been somebody, you guys. Man, I got my tin cup out. I guess I'm going to have to start grifting. You know, they don't even allow that in this state anymore. Get locked up. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Like it or don't, whatever. Out.